Let's begin. You did check the audio on this and so forth. We're okay. And starting off today, before we really get going on the lessons, I wanted to sort of review a few handouts for you, and just to be sure where we are. If you'll turn to the first one that says present active indicative omicron epsilon. What we're saying is that these particular vowels dominate, even if they're lengthened, they're dominating. So it's the OEF kind of class vowel. If you notice luo, I am loose, I loosen or I am loosing. Luace, you are loosen, you loosen or are loosing. Lue, he, she, or it loosen or is loosening. And the same with the plural, lumen, luete, luci, or sin, according to whether a vowel follows it. I've tried to divide this out for you where you can see where the stem is, where the ending is. But we don't try to separate really the connecting vowel from the stem, from the ending. It's just really hard to learn it that way. So you just need to learn basically O, ace, a, amen, et, usi. And whatever stem you put with that, you know, I could change the stem repeatedly. Graph, O. Lu, O. Blep, O. Dadas, go. Aku, O. And on and on and on. We can just keep changing the stem, here, lu, to other words. The ending will stay the same. And so, lu, O says, I am loosing. Grapho says, I am writing. Blepo says, I am seeing. So the stem meaning of blep and graph and lu and so forth will remain the same. The ending will change according to whether it's I am doing it, you're doing it, he, she, or is doing it, they're doing it, and we're doing it, or whatever. According to who's acting. We, you plural, you singular, he, she, or it, you know, and so forth. That's how it works, right? The it was over to the left. You know, he, she, or it. I didn't point exactly where. So, and then the present infinitive, luane, okay? Now, at the bottom of the page, then, is the primary and secondary endings. Now, I know that there's been a little confusion on this point, but the thing is, all I'm saying is that all formations, whether we're talking about present, the present, the imperfect, you haven't even learned some of the tenses yet. There's a present tense, the imperfect tense, the aorist tense, the perfect tense, the future tense, the pluperfect tense, and so forth. You have these tenses, but all of them have certain formations. In other words, some are primary and some are secondary. For example, aorist is a secondary kind of tense. Primary is like a present, and imperfect, and a future. And so you just have to know that if you know these endings, you will encounter these endings again and again and again. Right now, the only one you've encountered is, I think you've encountered the primary active and primary middle passive. But see, that doesn't only serve as a basis of the present tense, it serves as the basis of the future tense, for example. All right, so we'll learn more about that here in a little bit. But that's primary and secondary endings. Now, principal parts, I just gave you one here. In a minute, we'll look at more. But principal parts, if you'll notice, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. The present and the imperfect stem is the first principal part. The future active stem is the second principal part. The first aorist stem is the third principal part. Also, I should say the second aorist also fits there. First and second aorist stem. The perfect active stem is the fourth. Perfect middle and passive is the fifth. And aorist passive and future passive is the sixth. Those are stems. That's how words form. And it's like we do. We have a whole series of words like preach with preached. And learn with learned. And I'm sure I can think of more. I mean, you know, you start thinking of words in English that if you have the word and you add an ed, it doesn't change the stem. Right? Learn stays learn. But when you get to teach and taught, things change. Teach is like sort of like a first principle part, and taught sort of like a second principle part. It's the word changes from its original form to something quite different. Here's a Greek word to give you an idea of what I'm saying. The Greek word in the first principle part, that's estheo, and the third principle part is phago. Actually, it's not even phago, it forms epigon. But the word changes form. But we do that in English too. It's just you didn't have to worry about it in English, you just sort of learned it. Before you even saw it written, you learned it. By sound. You'll see them again. Epigon from estheo. Now, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay. Now, keep your, if you'll look now, the next page I'm showing you. Well, here you can see the Greek puzzle. I put it here for you. You can work on it if you want to do that. Now, the next page says principal parts, page 1 of 2. Notice the statement here. Students of Greek should give as much attention as possible to principal parts. That includes all you guys. Although an analytical lexicon or parsing guide may be the fastest way to identify the lexical source of a verb form, it is certainly not the most profitable way. Students who take the extra time, there's key, extra time, at the beginning to use the list of principal parts will eventually become much more adept at recognizing the tenses than those who use the parsing guide. A verb may have up to 6 principal parts. In the following list, the conventional order is reserved. First is present tense, from which also the imperfect is formed. Okay? Second principal part is the future tense. And I might say it's future active and middle. Third principal part is the aorist active, which is either first or second aorist. That the difference between first and second aorist has to do with how not anything to do with meaning, but with how it forms. Okay. Fourth principal part is perfect active. Fifth is perfect middle and passive. Sixth is aorist passive. Also the future passive. What follows is a list of important principal parts of the New Testament. I took this off Logos, if you'll notice at the bottom. I think in, whose was it? Paul Harris, or who was that? Somebody's thing on Logos. But if you'll notice the forms here, just for information. Look at the first one. Agaliao, we rejoice. It does not have a second principal part. That would be a, what stem? Huh?
Did it add a sigma?
Notice, it has a blank principal part. So which stem?
Third.
Rejoice is a translation. Don't worry about that. What's the second principal part?
Future tense.
Future tense. Good. Now the third principal part is eg aliasa. Aliasa. What principal part? That's the aorist. That's a third principal part, right? Third. You with me? You're not with me. We're counting across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has a blank. It means it does not occur in that principal part. That is, that word never formed in the Greek language in that part. It was never used that way. Okay? Are you still lost?
I'm still, yeah.
Okay, start again. Agaliao. You see that?
Yeah.
That's the first principal part.
How do we know that?
I just told you.
Okay, I didn't get it.
Because, remember, go to that little chart I gave you a moment ago. This one right here.
Yeah.
I've gone across, right? One, left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's all you need to know. All of them follow the same order. So agaliao is the first principal part because it occurs first. The second principal part doesn't have a formation, so it's a blank. But it still has the underline with a comma, right? That means that's the second principal part. They leave you a place for it, otherwise it'd be confusing. If you just put the next one, you wouldn't know which principal part it was. So they put the underlined blank there to let you know there's nothing there, but now you know there's a third principal part, which is egaliaso. Liaso. Okay. Now, if you'll notice what happens, the alpha changes to an eta. You don't have your omega. What happened to the omega? Huh?
Third place with a sigma.
But why do you drop the omega? Why don't you keep that in the third principal part?
Because it's an ending.
That's the ending, not the stem. Principal parts deal with stems. Stems for various tenses. The first principal part is a stem that uses the present tense and also the imperfect tense. The third principal part uses the aorist tense. It's an aorist tense stem. Yes?
So how would you conjugate like egaliaso?
I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Okay. But
It has a special
is it
conjugation.
tacked onto the end though?
It's, in other words, the sigma is the end of the word there. Alpha is a ending,
Okay.
of which you haven't learned yet.
Okay. But does it switch maybe to like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter.
What you really need to know is that the eta is the alpha that has lengthened from an A to an A. That's standard in the aorist. Notice the rest of the word is as part of the stem. See that? You with me? Gamma, alpha, lambda, lambda, iota, alpha. That's still part of the stem. The sigma, on the other hand, is a tense suffix that tells you it's an aorist. So actually you could put a little dash after the alpha. The sigma is added to tell you that it's an aorist. And the alpha at the very end is the ending, like oase omnet usi. It's an ending. So that's what happens. Now the fourth and the fifth, there are no principal parts. And the last one here, and again, is a sixth principal part, which is the aorist passive. Look at ago, downways. You with me? Ago, bring. Ago, oxo, egagon, or exa, echa, amai, echthain. The words change form a little bit. But I'll show you why it forms that way when the time comes. Anybody who's had Hebrew would know some of this in changing those stems. Anybody had Hebrew besides Stacy?
I didn't get that far.
Okay, and see, you have, okay, you know you have words like what are called dentals. What are they? T and D and so forth. In Greek, it's tau, delta, theta. Tongue comes right outside on the top of that tooth. Tau, it's a little. If you say tau, you're actually touching your teeth, just a itty bit. Delta, it also touches your teeth, and theta comes out of your mouth. Also, theta. That's how the word sounds. Just be thankful we're not one of those cultures where they sound words where the tongue comes out and touches your chin, you know. So, tau, delta, theta, those are dentals. Then you have labials, as they call them. And there's lambda, beta, phi. See. Then you have guttural sound. Kappa, gamma. If you listen to gamma, it's more back in the throat. Kappa, gamma, chi. It gets further and further back in the throat. Those are gutturals. And so you have sounds that they identify. Well, what happens is that sometimes when the gamma, which is a guttural sound, gamma, see that? You need to sometimes feel yourself with it. when you say that, when you get ready to say it, gamma, it's right here. And when you say, it's just at the beginning of it, when you feel here, you feel the vibrations. You may think this is funny, but this is how language
Well,
works.
I struggle with my name is Gary, and invariably I don't say it right. I should say because people go, oh,
Gary.
okay, Jerry or Barry or Larry or whatever.
It's Gary
Yeah.
instead of, see, Jerry is up here. Gary is back here. Gary, so gamma, what happens in alpha, the gamma is kappa, gamma, chi. So what happens, why do you move to alpha, gamma, omega to eta, chi? You've alternated your gutturals. You've hardened your guttural.
But
And-
what about when you go to A minor?
Huh?
But like A minor, that's a later.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that. I don't want to do any of that. No, that actually isn't.
Oh, it looks like
The
the-
my ending is there like an omega ending.
Okay.
The my is actually an ending. The whole my.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty consistent down through.
And the axo that you see next, ago, axo, the reason why you have that's because remember with a future you have a sigma, and so you're trying to fit together a gamma and a sigma together. So agso becomes oxo. There are reasons why all these things form, but you don't have to know all this now. I'm just talking to you about it. You're not having to memorize it now. I'm just giving you familiarity. Look down here to akuo. Here's a pretty consistent one. This is good. Akuo, akuso. There's a sigma added to the future tense suffix. Akusa. Notice the alpha changes to an eta. The sigma is added because that's an indication of a future. And an alpha. Look at the next one. A, K, Ka, A. What's happened is that you've duplicated the sound. Okay, Ka, A, Kus, My. There's a my ending. That's like an omega ending. My is. And A, Kus thing. So that's a very consistent one. Anyway, principal parts. We'll talk more about them as time goes on. Now, if you look at Dr. Croy's principal part chart with Luo, let's take a look at that one since we're doing principal parts here for a second. Conjugation of the regular verb Luo. So let's look at it here a second. Now, I'm not asking you to memorize all these things now. I'm just simply familiarizing you with them. It's sort of like sometimes the best way to read a book is before you actually start reading the words is to look at the table of contents and see what's in the book. Sort of take a chapter before you read it and sort of view the headings, see where it's going. People who teach people to read, I don't mean read in the sense of just reading words, but how to read intelligently and for learning and for memory, will tell you that you familiarize yourself before you start reading, if you want to read best. Instead of, the tendency is like reading novels, is just to pick it up, just start reading. But if you read a book for learning, for comprehension, you actually familiarize yourself with what you're about to read before you start. And it enhances learning. So that's why we're taking time to do this, even though I'm not going to have you to memorize all this right now. I'm not going to introduce it all to you now. But look at Luo. First principal part, second principal part, Venn, you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just think of it as slots. These are slots. Is a slot empty or full? Well, look at Luo. Present active indicative is oase a, amen eti usi. Can you see that? You with me? Notice the second principal part. That's the future. Notice you add a sigma to the stem before the ending vowel, right? So now instead of luo, if I say luso, it means I will or shall loose. If I say luo, I mean I am loosing. Luo means to destroy or to loose. It means loose in the sense of undoing something. If you have a wall of bricks and you take a knife and you cut around a brick and you remove it, you've loosened it in the Greek sense here. And if you loosen enough, you're destroying. It's what you're doing. See. Or if you're tied in a knot and you undo the knot, you loosen the knot, you've actually destroyed what existed. It's no longer a knot. Does that make sense? That's what we mean by loose here. And there's another Greek word for more what we would think of as like destroy, like obliterate. You know, you can if you for example drop a bomb on the knot, it will loosen it too, but it will also not have any conformity to what it was at all.
Obliterato.
Huh?
Is it obliterato?
Obliterate, yeah, it's a pulumi. Now let's look here. Luso, luces, luce, lucimen, lucite, lucite. See any difference between that in the present active? The only difference is the sigma. What is the sigma?
Future.
It's an indicator of the future. It's a tense suffix. It's added to the stem. Okay. Look at the next one. Elusa. Aorist. Notice the stem is still there, is it not? What's a stem? Lu. The epsilon is an indicator that it's a past tense. That's what you do. You put an epsilon. The sigma tells you it's an aorist. The alpha is the endings. What are the endings? Instead of oe, se, amen, et usi, it's a, as, e, amen, et, an. But notice, remember I said, what is the real ending of luces? Luces. What's the real ending? Huh? The sigma, good. Remember, that's the real ending. I said we have the connecting vowel, and for our purposes of learning, it's easier to say oe, say, amen, et, usi, than it's to say, you know, run through it and just say ment, you know, the ending. So we add the connecting vowel with the ending to make it more easy to learn. But the real ending is a sigma. The real ending is men, te, s, right? That's the real ending. Well, see, when it gets to the aorist, notice the ending again is the sigma, isn't it? The sigma, is the augment that tells you it's a past tense. Lu is your stem. Sigma is your tense suffix. Alpha is your, well, it's your second person singular for sure, but what is the alpha? Connecting vowel. It's the glue that connects the former to the word to the latter of the word. It's a glue. And then sigma is your ending, right? So, but we learn it a, as, e, amen, et, an. That's how you learn it. Notice the men and then te, that's the ending. The alpha is in fact the, I've said it several times.
Connecting vowel.
Connecting vowel. Good. The sigma there is the, no. No, I'm sorry. If you're talking about the second person ending, yes. But the sigma here with samen setu san. That's a tense suffix. It's a stem addition to tell you it's a aorist. Added to the stem. Go to the fourth principal part. Le, luka. Le, what has happened? The luo is still the stem, is it not? Lu. You know why you have the le?
Because it's a tense change.
It's called, yes, it tells you it's like an augment with the epsilon. Perfect tense reduplicates. It duplicates the consonant. That tells you it's a perfect. It duplicates the consonant. If that was a gamma, it'd duplicate and have gag.
Oh.
If it was a mu, it would be meh. You know, meh. You just duplicate the consonant of the stem. That's what happens. Now, if you have a stem that starts with a vowel, you can't duplicate it. It lengthens it. It just lengthens it. We'll talk more about it. Look at the perfect middle passive fifth principal part. Le, lu, same thing, perfect, perfect. Duplication. But the ending changes. And then lastly, the elu thing That's an aorist. Epsilon, the augment, tells you it's a pass. Lu is a stem. Theta, eta is in fact the theta actually is an indicator of the future aorist passive. Eta is your connecting vowel. Nu is your ending. That's how these things form. Now look down the first principle part again. Present, middle, passive. Lu, 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 right? Then your ending. Amai, aetai, amathe, este, antai. Seen that before? Future, middle, passive. Similar, aorist, middle, passive. Okay? But notice you have nothing in the fourth, fifth, and sixth. What happened? He just ran out of ink?
No. They were never developed.
Luo, in the fourth, fifth, sixth principal parts, middle passive never formed in the language. Imperfect active, look at that one, first principal part. See the stem, where's the stem? Huh? Lu's the stem, isn't it? Everybody with me? Lu is the stem. Epsilon, guess what that is? Tense indicator. It means it's a past tense. What is the omicron? Connecting vowel. What do you think the nu is? Your ending. Your ending. But you don't learn it. You don't learn it nu sigma. You know, you learn it on, es, e, amen, et, an. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to show you the value of my primary and secondary chart for you. If you put your finger on the imperfect active, just put it under on. I got my finger right underneath on. Then I go up to the first aorist, third principal part, and I put it under alpha. And now I'm going to follow down. I'm going to go down. You got it? I got one finger right underneath Elusa, where's the third principal part. I got the other finger right underneath the imperfect active, right? You with me? Anybody not understand what I'm doing? First principal part, third block down.
Perfect active.
Under the on. Now the third principal part, third one over, first one says Elusa. Now watch. Alpha, omicron. See that? Now go to the second one. On both of them. Alpha sigma, epsilon sigma, correct? Now go to the next one. Epsilon, epsilon. What's the major difference between those now? Sigma, because that indicates it's an aorist. What about the vowels? Connecting vowels. Huh?
They're different except for the third person.
Well, the imperfect adds a nu to the beginning, right? But as far as the connecting vowels, that's what I'm talking about. One's an alpha form, one's an omicron form, right? Same basic concept, isn't it? On, es, e, a, as, e. Same concept. The aorist uses an alpha form. The imperfect uses a omicron form. Now go to the plural. Just put your finger just right over a little bit. Amen, ete, an. If you're not careful, you'll say all those the same. Won't you? Amen, ate, an in the aorist, and amen, ete, an in the imperfect, right? Different connecting vowel. Now, so that if you look at my little chart here, point of it is that if you know the forms here, you just know that the aorist just substitutes an alpha for an omicron. And you know the form primarily, except for the beginning nu. And after a while, you'll understand that the basic formation changes. First aorist use alphas, imperfect uses omicron. A, e, alpha, epsilon. A, e, omicron, epsilon. aorist, first aorist, and imperfect. But then when you get to the second aorist, it looks like an imperfect form. Omicron nu, epsilon sigma, epsilon. Omicron mu, epsilon tau. In other words, the second aorist and the imperfects look identical, except for the change in the stem. But the endings are identical. So there's some things you don't fully understand yet, obviously. But as you move more into this, you'll understand why. I just want you to memorize it. Don't worry about why. Just memorize it. Just take my word for it. If you know it, it'll make a difference.
But primary, secondary endings.
Yeah, just memorize it. You don't have to know why, just memorize it. And if you, it's just like trusting God at this point. You don't always know why God wants certain things done a certain way. Just do it. And all I'm getting at is that you don't have to know why on everything right now. It will make sense eventually here. Memorize them. Just 24 form. Memorize them. Well, that's enough funny games on that. Let's move on. And talk about, we're going to do a little rehearsal here just briefly to get us going again. Okay, we know these words, I hope. Notice I've put, you have the endings. Notice the adelphe, adelphase, hey. Aletheia, aletheos. Basileia, basileos, hey. Gay, gace, hey. What does that tell me? All these are what kind of noun? Feminine noun. How do I know that? The hey article tells you right away. Also, the ending, generally speaking, will tell you. Notice how I said that. Generally speaking. Ecclesia, ecclesias, hey. Echo, hey, nothing. Zoe, zoes, hey. Hemera, hemeras, hey. Thalassa, thalasses, hey.
Oh, there's a moon in, I think it's one of Saturn's moons named is Thalassa.
Thalassa, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Means sea.
Yeah.
Lake. Okay.
Because I looked it up on the internet because of the thalassa. I looked that up too.
You looked at that word, huh?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Lake-like?
Kind of or from the sea.
Ah, makes sense. You use that in your next book, so you write, and it was a thalassic calm.
When you have the hey on the end, it's part of the word, or is it added to?
That's not, you're not going to find that necessarily in the text that way. This is a dictionary indicator. All the dictionaries will have the hey. Hey, 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 ha, 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 ta, 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 ta. It gives you whether it's masculine, feminine, neuter in the dictionary. That doesn't mean it occurs necessarily in the text you read.
Okay.
It's just that you must memorize the word this way. Why?
That way you know which declension.
That way you know what declension it is, and it's you'll you know what gender is. Gender is. By the way, we use the word gender and sex in the wrong way today. Realize gender is a grammatical term, not a natural term. What sex you are is a natural term. You got two options. Although some people try to argue there are several options, but you really got two. And
It's an option?
well, actually, for some people it's sort of like that, but it's not really. Well, what I mean, you have two options of discussion. You either have a male or a female. It's not really an option. You're born with what you are. Actually, even your DNA, it makes you what you are. There have been people that try to have sex changes to become another sex, and they really are just simply not another sex because their DNA, or they're still what they are. They just distorted themselves. But they're still what they are. So it's an interesting concept. Okay. Cardia, cardias, phone, and phones.
Hey,
Hey. And hora, horas, hey. Okay? Now, everybody with me on this? We've gone through this already. Just trying to rehearse a little bit. Now, what about translation? Can you translate? All the way through, we're going to translate through not translate. We're going to pronounce through 1 John. Because at the end of next quarter, you're going to read it in Greek. Should be able to pronounce it, though. We'll go through another one today. Just familiarizing ourselves again. Now, characteristics of noun, we've already talked about nominative, genitive, with ablative as an optional function. Dative, with locative, instrumental as an optional function. Accusative and vocative. These are the cases. Genders, only 3. Number, singular and plural. Cases, we've gone through these. Nominative case is a naming case. Subject of the finite verb. Or predicate nominative. Predicate nominative, what is that? Like, I am a man.
so man.
I is a subject, am is a verb. Man is a renaming of the subject, so to speak. It's predicate nominative. I am a man. He is good. He, subject, is, verb. Good describes the he. Predicate nominative means that which completes the initial statement. So whatever is the subject, the predicate is a restatement either describing or identifying the subject with a verb in between. An am, a to be verb. For example, I hit the ball. Ball is not a predicate nominative. That's an object. So predicates is actually a statement of the completion of a to be verb with the nominative, which states a naming again of the subject. Predicate nominative. Everybody with me? Genitive is either description, like the a load of hay. What kind of hay? Excuse me. What kind of load? A hay load. A load of hay. A box of nails. What kind of box? A box that has nails. A description. You're describing it. That's a genitive. Or it could be something like the Son of Man. Man's son, or the Son of God, God's Son. So it's either going to describe the noun, the genitive, it's either going to describe the noun, or it's going to show possession. The love of God, God's love. Dative case, personal interest. I gave the book, here we go. I, subject, gave, verb of action, book, what I gave, to Stacy. What I've done, see, I, subject, verb, gave, book is what I gave, that's the object, direct object. To Stacy is the indirect object. That's a personal interest in relationship to him. In other words, he's the one to whom I gave the book. In English, though, we do it this way sometimes. This is English. I gave Stacy the book. Now, I gave Stacy, Stacy's still not the object. Is he? Book is still the object. I gave Stacy the book. The book is still what I gave. But in English, if you put the thing or person to whom you give something or do something before the object, you leave out the to. I could say I gave to Stacy the book, but in English you can just say I gave Stacy the book, and you mean to Stacy. Understand that? That's how English works.
But it's still a dative, right?
Still a dative case, yeah. A peculiarity of English. If it's after the object, it's to. If it's before the object, you drop the to in English. English is a terrible and difficult language to learn. Far more so than Greek. And see how well you've done at it, so Greek should be a piece of cake. Now, dative case. Accusative, limitation or qualification. It's that which limits the action or as the end of the action or qualifies the action. Generally speaking, direct object of a transitive verb. But When you have a preposition with it, it becomes the object of the preposition, not the object of the verb. A little different. We'll talk about that. Yes?
I have a question. Can you kind of go through a sentence like that and pick out all the nouns and say
What kind of
for
sentence?
noun? Well, like, I gave Stacy the book, and Stacy was given
You want to do like that with the
genitive
accusative?
and the book.
Well, book is the accusative. I gave Stacy the book. The
Okay.
book is the object
Accusative.
of gave. And if you like the object of the preposition, you want me to do one with the object, with the direct object as a, with preposition or something?
Sure. I was just saying, go through a sentence and like, for each noun, say what it is. I mean,
I gave, I, subject, that's a pronoun,
right.
which substitutes for a noun. I could say Wayne gave, and that would be the name, the noun, nominative. Gave, verb, book, object, the obviously would be the direct, the article that goes with the direct object. To Stacy, that's the indirect object. He becomes the indirect object of the verb, not the direct object of the verb. Why I say to Stacy's indirect object, for he's the to or for whom whatever is given is done. That's what we mean by indirect object. It's the to or for whom something happens. To him, for him. I gave the book for Stacy. Now, I could do it that way. I could say, I gave the book for Stacy. I can actually say, with that I'm saying for his benefit, or with interest to him, without actually giving it to him. This way, I earn money for my family. That's a better one. I, subject, earn, verb, money, object, for my family. That would show the interest of the earning, the to or for whom the action is done. But I don't, if I say I earn money to my family, the word earned as an English word doesn't lend itself to the indirect object in the sense of to, does it? You don't earn money to your family, you earn money for the benefit of your family. But you don't say, I gave the book, generally speaking, you wouldn't say, I gave the book for Stacy, because you're saying I gave it to whom? See, certain English words form or require certain concepts. Gave requires